Ethan Brooks, one of the wealthiest businessmen in the city, lived in a world of glass walls and silence. His mansion stood like a symbol of power, yet inside it was filled with emptiness. His wife had passed away years ago, leaving behind their only son, Liam, a 7-year-old boy with autism. Liam's world was different. He didn't speak much, avoided eye contact, and would often scream or throw things when overwhelmed. Every nanny, therapist, and specialist the millionaire hired ended up leaving within days. "Your son is uncontrollable," they would say, and Ethan, despite all his money, couldn't buy peace for his child. The mansion echoed with the sound of tantrums, breaking objects, and Ethan's helplessness. One morning, after another nanny quit crying, a new maid arrived, a young woman named Clara. She wasn't highly educated or professionally trained, but her eyes carried warmth, and her hands moved with gentleness. Ethan didn't expect her to last a day, but she smiled and said softly, "Sir, I'll try my best." The first time Clara met Liam, he was sitting in a corner of his room, rocking back and forth, clutching his toy car tightly. When she tried to approach, he screamed, covering his ears. Most people would have stepped back, but Clara sat down quietly on the floor, not too close, not too far, humming softly. She didn't talk to him, didn't force him to look at her. She just hummed, a tune gentle like the morning breeze. Hours passed, and Ethan watched through the half-open door, confused. That evening, for the first time in weeks, Liam fell asleep without crying. The next day, Clara came again, carrying a small tray with paint and paper. She didn't ask Liam to paint, she just began coloring quietly beside him. Curiosity flickered in his eyes, and soon, his little fingers dipped into the paint. The first stroke he made was messy, but Clara smiled like he'd painted a masterpiece. It was the first time anyone had looked at Liam not with pity or frustration, but with pride. Days turned into weeks, and the house that once echoed with chaos began to fill with laughter and calm. Clara never raised her voice, never forced him to act normal. Instead, she built small bridges into his world. When he screamed, she didn't scold, she whispered, "It's okay, breathe." When he hid under the table, she sat beside him, her presence steady like an anchor. Slowly, Liam began to change. He started making eye contact. He began to hum Clara's tune. One day, when Ethan returned home early, he froze at the sight before him, Liam sitting on the carpet, quietly stacking blocks while Clara cheered him on softly. For the first time, Ethan saw peace on his son's face. Overwhelmed, he whispered, "How did you do this?" Clara smiled and said, "Sir, he doesn't need someone to fix him. He needs someone to understand him." Ethan couldn't sleep that night. For years, he had buried himself in work, thinking money could heal what love could not. He realized he never truly tried to enter Liam's world, he only wanted to drag him into his own. The next morning, Ethan did something he hadn't done in years, he sat beside his son. Liam looked at him, nervous at first, but Clara nodded from across the room. Ethan picked up a crayon and began to draw clumsy circles. Liam stared, then reached for another color. For the first time, father and son painted together. A single tear slipped down Ethan's face, and he whispered, "Thank you." Weeks later, Clara became more than just a maid, she became family. She continued helping Liam grow, teaching Ethan patience, and filling the house with warmth. Liam began to speak small words, his first being "Dad." Ethan broke down completely that day, hugging his son tight. The impossible had happened. Not through medicine, not through therapy, but through compassion, understanding, and love. One evening, as the three of them sat by the window, watching the sunset, Ethan said softly, "Clara, you've given me my son back." She smiled humbly and said, "No, sir, he was always there. He just needed someone to listen." The story of the millionaire and his autistic son became a quiet legend in the neighborhood. People wondered what magic the maid had done. But the truth was simple, Clara didn't change Liam, she changed the way the world looked at him. And that made all the difference. Ethan donated millions to build a foundation for children with autism, naming it the Clara Hope Center, so that every child like Liam could find a voice and every parent like him could find hope. So, dear viewers, remember, sometimes miracles don't come from wealth or power, but from the kindness of an open heart. Love, patience, and understanding can transform even the most hopeless moments into miracles. If this story touched your heart, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more emotional, inspiring stories that remind us that compassion can truly change the world.